good to see Joe. Brother Joe was one of the people who really influenced my life, and there are three people, Chuck and Miami-san, Tony, and Gio-san, and Joe Tully. These are very important people in my life because I thought I knew the truth for a long time. And the missionaries, you know, we expect, particularly one sister, Eiko-san, she kept calling me all the time, and Miami-san calling me all the time. You know, they always invite me to all these different meetings. At that time, you know, I was having a church and very well involved in the community. And so one day I decided, okay, you know, I will go. And that was the transformation that took place in my life, because all the questions I had and all the doubts that I had for a long period of time that I was afraid to speak or ask publicly, you know, they were answered. And it was not, it was well-documented answers that you can go to the Bible, because you know, I'm sure that a lot of you here may not have the biblical foundation like I had. Some of you probably went to church, you know, maybe read the Bible a few times, but if you have systematically studied the Protestant theology, I have a very strong foundation on that, and you're basically brainwashed to believe certain things. And you will die to defend those, knowing deep down in your heart, it's not necessarily answering a lot of your questions. But when those questions were answered, when there are 2 or 3 witnesses, and then backed by series of scriptures, and you started looking at the Bible and the word of the scriptures in a different light, and then all of a sudden you realize, wow, this is the truth, and you embrace it. See, then you are faced with that decision either to reject it or to embrace it. So you embrace it with all your heart, and the conviction that drives you through all the other stuff that happens after that. I remember we were having a picnic. It was a picnic at the beach, and we were having a good time. And Chuck said, "Hey, you know, you're on the front page of the newspaper, the West Hawaii newspaper." I said, "What's that all about? Did I do anything wrong?" He said, "No, you know, they're gonna talk about your involvement with the Unification Church, of course, you know, involvement with the school." And I said, "Okay, you know, I can handle that." And I didn't know that they called for an emergency meeting that very day. This was the very next day. And the emergency meeting was called by the church board, and they fired me. They said, "We don't want you," you know. But you know what? There was incredible peace, because when you it's like when you find a cure for cancer, you know, and you take that cancer and the cure for cancer, and your cancer is removed, and you want to tell the whole world about it. See? So I didn't realize, you know, I lived in this island almost, this will be 31 years. And I can go to any town, any place, even Pahoa, and everybody knows me. Because I'm the only guy who looks like me. I have a strange name that nobody has in the whole island. I have money, M-O-N-E-Y on my back. So it was like a wildfire, you know, everybody's talking about, oh, you know, Reverend Sam, you know, at the Waikoloa Community Church, and he was the president of this and president of that, and, you know, he has become a Mooney. Boy, I tell you, I didn't realize, this state of aloha didn't have aloha. They just were mean like a junkyard dog. That's how I can explain them. They want to chew you and spit you out. But at that time, when I was going through those trials and tribulations, this is what I'm going to talk about. Why does God allow trials and tribulations in our life? That's my topic today, because I've been studying this for a long period of time, and I want to make an intelligent approach to this. We have some pet answers, but I would like to embrace that from the divine principle perspective. Because see, you can have all the Bible knowledge, but if you don't embrace that or connect it with the divine principle, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Bible doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to talk to you today about why do we go through trials and tribulations in our life, and why God allows it. See, there are two things, what we call the perfect will of God that you cannot change. It's already been established. For example, the perfect will of God is to be perfect. The scripture says, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. That is the perfect will of God. There's nothing you can compromise about. But that is what we call the permissive will of God. God allows circumstances, situations in our life. For example, the life of Job. He was a perfect man. He was a righteous man, the scripture says. He raised his family right. For those who are Japanese sisters who don't have a lot of Bible knowledge, Job is a character in the Old Testament that he was a very righteous man. He raised his family right. He made everything right. God testifies and saying that he's a righteous man. When God says you're righteous, you're righteous. And then this poor man, without his knowledge on the spirit world, there's a battle going on. The devil comes, the Satan comes, the Lucifer comes, the Satan, the destroyer comes to God and say, hey, listen, you know why this guy is following you? Do you know why this guy is so nice to you? He's totally surrendered to you? Because you gave him all this blessing. Take away this blessing. Let's see what kind of person he is. So, God said, okay, I trust this man. And so Satan went to work. He lost his wealth, he lost his children, and he lost his health. And his wife walks in and says, what kind of a stupid man are you? When all these things are happening, how can you believe in God? Why don't you curse God and die? The wife leaves him. Here is this man sitting on the heap of ashes, scratching his skin. And he tells him, his friends come and says, you must have done really something bad. That's why God is punishing you. And in all these things, the scripture says he never opened his mouth and cursed God. In all of those things. Because he didn't understand what was happening. And the only answer he gave was very humanistic answer. You know what he says? I came naked and I go naked. Blessed be the name of God. What an incredible story that is. So here's a man who did not do anything wrong. He was doing the right thing, that he went through this, he went through this fire of course, trials and tribulation. And then there are other things that we self-inflict upon ourselves. For example, if you have cholesterol. For example, I have two problems. I have cholesterol, I have diabetic. Now, these are two serious diseases. There is no cure. You can control it. You can control it, but there's no cure. So knowing these facts, if I go and keep eating fatty food and eating loaded with sugar food, I'm self-inflicting upon myself sicknesses. And I can't blame God when I end up in the emergency room. You know what I'm saying? You can't go and say, God, why are you doing this to me? God has nothing to do with that. You're stupid,